You're looking at a 1994 Mazda Miata MX-5. This particular vehicle is my own personal vehicle. I'm not a dealer or anything like that. Truth be told, really don't want to sell it, but family situations, simple math, 3 members of the family and 2 seats just really don't add up. But my wife and I have gone back and forth deciding whether or not to sell, and we decided we're just not using it and it's time to sell. So as I said, I've had this car, or as I said, it's a 1994 Mazda Miata. This has about 170,000 miles on it. I'm the 3rd owner that I know of, and I'm sure there were a couple more before that with that many miles. I bought it from somebody down in Delaware who had it for a short period of time, and before that I know it was in the southern part of Pennsylvania. So this is pretty much loaded up from what you can see, and does have some aftermarket items put on. I didn't do any of the aftermarket items. I've had to do very little to this vehicle. The wheels are 15-inch as opposed to the stock 14, and we'll get to that in a second. But you can also see there's what they call a style bar. This is not a roll bar behind the rear seat. It's a style bar, and there's different opinions on those, but you can see that, you know, that's there. It gives it a certain look. You can also see on the front there's smoked turn signal lenses, so they sort of blend into the black paint. And there's also a chin spoiler in the front. And if you notice when we went to the rear, just real quick, we have dual tips coming out the back, which is something I've hardly ever seen, if ever, on a 4-cylinder Miata. Obviously I've seen them on the higher output ones, but dual tips, so catback exhaust on here, which gives it a very distinctive sound, which you'll hear in a little bit. As far as condition, as far as I know, it's never been in a serious accident. I will tell you that there are a couple dings around the vehicle, this being one of them. There's one right here, a little bit on the fender, on the quarter rather. Black tends to hide it, especially because the paint's in very good condition. There's a little one here. The worst of them is, and I'm going to go down the side so you can actually see it, I don't know if this was a shopping cart or something like that. You can't really get to it from behind. It never really bothered me too much, but if you wanted to get that out, you could. I've seen people try to get out dents through the tail ends, and they can go right in with a long rod, and the paintless dent removal would be probably what I would go with. The mark I know about is this right here. It just surfaced, and it did dent it in just a little bit here. I was able to pop out most of it. My neighbor actually backed into me, and I yelled, and he just got me a little bit. So, and there is some touch-up paint around here on the bumper, so it looks like somebody else had been scraped at one point. This is not a daily driver for me, so, you know, it's been garaged whenever possible as far as normal use. Now, if I took it somewhere, obviously there wasn't a garage, but it's at the very least been garaged over the winters and summers when I'm not using it. I do have a cover for it as well that I don't put on all the time, but over the winter for sure. It's not an indoor-outdoor cover. It's pretty much an indoor cover, keeps the dust down. A couple things I've done to the vehicle. One is replace the power antenna mast, and 2, replace the battery. It's a gel cell battery, so they're a little pricey. But other than that, I really haven't had to do anything with it. You also see the smoked corner lenses as well on the side. You know, as you can expect, I think at some point, if you catch the light just right, you can see a couple little dimples here. This is, I believe, an aluminum hood, so it dents pretty easily. I don't know if that was hail damage or something, but you can just, if you catch it in just the right light, you can see it. As far as rust, there's a little speck of paint that peeled underneath the rear here, which I just happened to notice when I was cleaning it off. It's a little dented up there, but you can see if you can see that down in there. Just a little speck. You're not gonna be able to, there you go, little speck right there. Maybe it got hit by where the jack would normally go at one point, but I'll touch that up before the sale. And the only other spot, I just found this the last time I washed the car, is right here. Let's see if we can get to that. Just a little bit sticking in there. And I think, from the looks of this, it's sort of a, if you look up here, you can see it's underneath where the body hangs out. So I'm not sure it's really in the rocker per se. If it is, it's just a little bit. I was going to get some rust inhibited paint, get in there, because it almost looks like there's a little crack in the metal here, which may have started it. But once again, you know, that can be attended to. That's a common area for rust in these, both in front of the rear wheels and actually behind the front wheels, because all the sorts of crud and stuff. But that's solid. You can I mean, they're aluminum, so they're as solid as they're going to be. But that's what you can sort of expect if you're looking for one of these. Always look in those spots, whether you're looking at this one or another one. Let me pop the hood and take a look. Like I said, this has about 170,600 at the time of recording this video. So you can see here, nobody's modded or messed with this that I can see. I mean, the spark plug wires are blue. That's really the only thing. They're NGKs. That's really the only thing I can see that someone's done with it. Like I said, I put about a little over 120,000 miles on this. You know, I didn't mod it up or anything like this. It has ABS, as you can see here, cruise control, as you can see here, 1.8 liter 4-cylinder, straight 4, you know, rear wheel drive. No one's really messed with it that I can tell. I've seen another Miata that was really messed with, and you know, this is all factory. This, you know, intake and all the air box is all factory. You know, things like that. Lights work, pop-up headlights, no issues there. So pretty much just you know, an unaltered vehicle, the best I can tell. You know, I definitely haven't done anything with it as far as, you know, modding it. Like I said, one thing you'll find is in the back here, the yellow, that's the dipstick handle broken off. That's a common problem. I guess it's because people reach back there and don't pull up, they pull out and it snaps it off. Oil will be changed by the time the seller would actually pick the, or the buyer, excuse me, actually pick this up. Looking at the interior, power windows, manual locks. Power windows are actually in the center. Cloth seats. Seat does have a little bit of wear right there, as you can see, and a little bit below it. But other than that, not terrible. You know, a little bit on this edge here, it starts to, but as you can be expected from the driver's seat, they're not perfect. You can see some spotting on that one over there. But they do have speakers in the headrest. I don't have them hooked up, but there's a zipper here. You actually open them up and you can wire them up. This car actually, these seats aren't original to the car. The previous owner, or the previous, not the one I bought it from, the guy who had it before that, I believe, from what I was told, and what you can sort of see is this, some of this interior used to be tan, and I think he wanted black. So these were always black in a tan car, the bolsters, but this you can see is sort of painted like with a vinyl paint, which actually is held up really well. A couple spots could just use a little touch up, but you'd never know it probably unless you really looked at it. So I know these seats are not original to this car, because they probably would have been tan at some point. It is not an M edition, in case you're looking at the brake lever there. That's a wooden brake lever. M's would have been a purple color in this year, more of a purple color, not the black. Seller tried to convince me it was an M, but it was not. You can just look on Miata.net and I can tell you that part there. Dual airbags. This is an OBD1 car, not an OBD2. That started, I believe, in '96. As I mentioned, 170,654 on the clock. Focus that up there. Basic dash. This is the last year of the dash that actually had a true oil pressure gauge. But other than that, pretty simple. It does have some trim rings around here, gives it a nice decorative look. AM/FM cassette. The display is very dim, but it hasn't been an issue for me. I usually, the antenna does work. I usually just use, as you can see, a cassette adapter to go into my phone. I do have the cup holder here, but I took it out because I actually like just to stick my phone there rather than the cup holder. Short throw shift. This by far is one of the coolest things into the car. You can see here, here's first, here's second, third, fourth, you know, fifth, and reverse, standard 5-speed. But it's real tight and it's really nice to drive. You're not throwing it really far. It doesn't stick far out of the dash. Really nice to drive. Glove compartment, you know, not too fancy. Interior lights here. Air conditioning, blows cold. I don't use it a ton, but it does blow cold. You know, so pretty simple. I have replaced the speakers with aftermarket speakers. So behind the doors, they give a little different, but not much. So it's a little hard to hear, obviously, when you're driving with the roof down, but if you really wanted to, you could hook up the speakers in the headrest. I never did because they weren't hooked up when I purchased the car. Like I said, because the seats, I think, were swapped out at one point. So, but other than that, pretty straightforward. Cruise, airbags, AC, power windows. They're a little slow, but they do go up. I mean, they're not dead by any stretch. I mean, the car's almost 20 years old, so that can be expected. And then let's pop the trunk. Little storage area in here. You can see just got a screwdriver and some tape, things like that. Not a ton of room behind the seats, but what I've done is actually stuck a cooler behind there with a bungee cord. You can set a little bit here. The seats, you know, you can put, like I have a hat stuck behind there. Obviously not much room. Fuel filler neck right there. Trunk, not huge, but serviceable. You know, you can get a suitcase in there. I'm assuming, I've never tried, but it looks like you might be able to squeak a pair of golf clubs in there. Battery's actually located in the back. Once again, last year, a brand new battery for this. It's a gel cell battery. That alone's about 110 bucks. I think I paid for it. Spare tire is in the back, but you could always take that out and repurpose that or put it someplace else if you needed the room. It's a donut. It's not actually a full-size spare. And jack and everything. You can see the handle there, and let's see, there's the jack right there underneath. And you got a little room underneath there if you wanted to throw some tool. I guess you don't have much, but a little bit if you want to throw a screwdriver or something like that. Gas tank is actually located back behind here. So as such, if you have the roof up, sometimes you let it sit for a while, you do get a little bit of fumes, but you know, you just roll the window down, you get going. So I've never ridden in another one with the top up for a long time, so I'm not, well, after sitting for a while outside, let's say, you know, it would be if you sat the car outside and went inside, put the roof up. You know, like I said, I don't usually drive this other than pick up there. And you can see the battery there, and also you got your tools here. Gas tank is actually right behind there. Jack's underneath there in the corner. Battery's been replaced, as I mentioned. The antenna's been replaced also. That's just the mast, not the motor. The motor works fine. So I've got a little bit of a scuff mark back here. Looks like where there was a dealer sticker at one point. But other than that, a pretty decent car. Like I said, with the dual tips, I think it really balances out the back. It's one of the best features of the car, I think. We'll take a step back here. You really, you know, they sound good. They're not too canny, you know, like you see a lot of, you know, people do with the Hondas and stuff like that, where they get a little tinny for my taste. You know, some people's taste, obviously your taste differs, but, you know, not bad at all. So, and I actually think it balances out the rear end of the car. So I'll do a quick walk around here. Once again, 1994 Mazda Miata, 170,000 miles. Very nice condition, you know, something that's just a ton of fun. And we're going to walk around here, and then from there we will take it for a ride and let you see what it sounds like and what it drives like as well. All right, so here we go. We're going to take this for a little test drive for you. So you can see here, no funny check engine lights. Nothing like that. Oil pressure fluctuating there. You get out and let you listen to that exhaust. Point this towards the back so you can. So you can see they're not too canny, not too tinny, but just enough. So really always like the looks of this dash. Real nice and clean. Like I said, a little damage here. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but I do have a new piece that's I'll include with the sale. If we get close enough to my asking price, we'll include that in there. Also have a new wheel, same thing, or used wheel, but this has a little bit of play in it. If I get close to my asking price on that one, we'll include that as well. But so here we go. Let's take it for a quick ride here. Chance to listen to what it sounds like. What it handles like on the road. We're on a private road here, so. But you know, 5-speed, as I mentioned. Now, the car does need new tires. So it does have a little shimmy to it. At about 60, I've noticed. One is also plugged. You know, if I was going to keep the car, I'd absolutely put tires on it, but you know, I just don't think it's worth it if I'm going to put tires on it and you know, use it a couple times before the season. If I was going to keep the car, I'd probably wait till the spring and put tires on it then, rather than just have new tires sit over the winter. But like I said, we just don't use the car like we planned, like we did initially. So you can see just so you see what the RPMs are. You know, not too loud if you really get on it. You know, it gets a little noisy there, but nothing bad at all. It cruises right along. You know, it's like I said, it's a 1.8. It's got plenty of pep. Cruises right along at, you know, 65, 70 on the highway. Got plenty of get up on the low end. Plus, you're still getting, you know, if you keep your foot out of it, I bet you'd still get close to 30 miles in the gallon, if not a little more on the highway. You know, pop-up headlights, as I mentioned. But I usually like to keep them down to the last minute because I don't really like driving with them up. Doing about 60, and you know, plenty of, not too loud, but just enough to give it some separation from what other cars are out there, give you a little distinction. We're going to get on a little twisty road here so you can see what it handles like. You know, I first drove this car after I bought it and took it to work one time. I felt like I was driving a shoe or a go-kart, or a I should say bumper car. Just very tight steering, you know, very, you know, it's power steering, but once you get the speed up a little bit, we're only doing about 50, you know, you can really, you know, it's really responsive, you really feel the road, comfortable ride. You know, I've taken this on trips before. You know, I've done about probably a couple-hour trip. Yeah, it's a smaller car. You know, if you're a larger person, I would probably look at one first before you actually go out and you know, commit to buying one. Make sure you take it on a good test drive, because it is, you know, I usually sit with the seat almost all the way back, or actually all the way back, and I'm about 5'10". So if you were over 6 feet and you had really long legs, you definitely want to check into that first. But obviously at a test drive would be the time to find that out. But it cruises right along nice. And no issues with power. You don't need to wind it out to get going. I got it in 4th gear here, short shift. Real nice feature on this that was put in by the previous owner. You know, just gives it a totally different feel for driving, I'm sure, than the, you know, if it was, you're not throwing the gear shift really long. You know, you really just, you know, like right there. Give you an idea here. You know, there's second there to come to the stop here. You know, so lots of gives it a little sporty feel as well. See if we can do this here on the straightaway. You know, so here's first, boom, right there you're in second, and then third. Come around this corner here. You can see, just, you know, it may seem like I'm going fast. I'm doing 40 miles an hour, not even into this corner. So I'm not, you know, you can see it real sporty. I'm doing about 35 right into that. Nothing crazy, but if you want to get on it, you can get on it. If you want to just cruise right along and drive nice, you know, it handles great that way too. Basically, just a great all-around car. I challenge you to find this much fun for the money. I mean, obviously, it's not a Ferrari or anything, or a Porsche, nothing like that, but, you know, for less than $10,000, well less, you know, you get yourself into something that's fun, get a little nick or scratch on it, not going to worry about it. But you know what? Very little maintenance, like most Japanese makes, very little maintenance. This has had the timing belt done. Excuse me. This also had the clutch done at some point. Now that was told me, both of those were told by the previous owner, so I don't know when they had happened. You know, I want to say he estimated maybe around 120. We estimated for the, so, but no, I don't have any receipts for that or anything like that, so it would be tough to tell. But anyway, there's a little bit of a tour. If you like what you see here and you're interested, please email me at the address below on the screen. Come out, take it for a test drive. Like I said, it's a private sale, not a dealer or anything like that. Never driven in the snow for my purposes when I've had it for 3.5 years. You know, it doesn't look like it's been, you know, abused or hit or anything like that. Just a real nice car, lots of fun. So if you're looking for something like this, it's going to get you a lot of fun for not a lot of money. I think the Mazda is the place to look for the Miata. You know, a lot of them out there. This one's got some nice aftermarket mods that you'd probably do anyway. A little bigger tire. The style bar in the back is nice. You know, no performance mods, so you don't have to worry about it. You know, aside from the catback exhaust, which isn't going to hurt the engine. That's anything that's going to make it breathe easier. Aside from that, lots of great, you know, lots of fun for not lots of money. Just one more thing, I want to give you a listen to the motor. Alright, going to give you an idea what the car looks like with the top up. This top has been replaced by the previous owner. See here, it's pretty tight in here. Don't get any whistling. They have put a weather strip, the previous owner put a weather strip underneath here in between. So I think that helps. I do get a little bit of a leak if it's really raining sometimes around this area. I don't know if it's the weather strip that's just the seam in the weather strip. It's the way it is. Or I've also read that the windows don't go up all the way sometimes, and that could cause the issue. But like I said, I don't drive it in the rain much, so it's not really an issue to me. Back glass, back glass is not glass, it's plastic. Pretty good shape, not too bad of scratches. The only thing you can see here is there's a little bit of a mark starting to show right where the fold is. I usually do put a towel in there so it's not scraping on itself. So try to keep that as neat as possible. But I usually do leave the top down, so other people I've seen put one of those fun noodles that you use in the pool in there as well to help out with that. So, and then on this side, like I said, I usually get a little bit of a drip. Sometimes right in here, seat gets a little wet. But I usually just leave that towel right there, which is actually the one I usually leave in the back window. When I put the roof up, I usually just lay it down right here if I happen to be someplace where it's going to be rainy in case it does leak a little bit. But like I said, I don't usually drive it in the rain. There's no musty mildew smell. It's not pouring in, sopping rain. It's just a little bit of a drip when you're driving, I've noticed. But like I said, I don't drive it much in the rain. So that gives you an idea what it looks like with the top up. I happen to not like the car with the top up, so I don't drive it anytime I usually need the top up. If you're interested in the 1994 Miata, please email me at the email address on the screen.